my gosh, thank you for being here. So I had a friend who used to say there's two kinds of people in the world, camp people and non. I'm camp type person, so I'm very happy here. I'm going to start with a poem called Composition of a Raft because it's set in the summer, and there's also two ways to read it, so I'll read it both ways, and in case you zone out or in case someone comes in late, they can catch it on the second ride. Composition of a Raft, Ramallah, Palestine. Elsewhere they carried out planned explosions of clay in the earth to pause the wildfires. That summer we were stretching time, wandering past the blockades, telling the myths we kept like keys, and studying loyalty born of attachment, not alignment. They counted hundreds of washed-up dead sea turtles, touching like lovers that summer. We were caging and sifting because comparisons tend to stifle both things, so we leaned, not leaped. We didn't want to want anything that much. It was the longest loss of the moon view for a century that summer. We spent the dream putting everyone back in their places and avoiding spectacle by refusing to play spectator, resisting the humiliation in pieces. That summer we learned to bargain with gods, that exile is always story. We were never remembering to call back or predicting the water supply, despite our knowing how much relief is like panic in promise. Composition of a Raft, Ramallah, Palestine. Elsewhere, they carried out in the earth to pause the wildfires, stretching time, wandering past the myths we kept like keys born of attachment. They counted hundreds of sea turtles touching like we were caging, and comparisons tend to stifle, so we leaned, not leaped, to want anything that much. It was the longest loss for a century that summer, putting everyone back and avoiding spectacle, spectator, resisting in pieces. That summer we learned that exile is always story, remembering to call back or supply, despite our knowing like panic, planned explosions of clay. That summer we were the blockades, telling and studying loyalty, not alignment. Washed up dead lovers that summer, sifting because both things we didn't want. Of the moon view, we spent the dream in their places by refusing to play the humiliation, to bargain with gods. We were never predicting the water. How much relief is in promise. Then I'm going to read some new poems, some less polished poems. And I had a period where I was having to speak to a lot of doctors. And after a while, because you learn so much of the language, doctors would ask me, "Are you a doctor?" And nurses would ask me, "Are you a nurse?" And then I had to meet with a lawyer who said, "Are you a lawyer?" And I thought, wow, I'm like this reflective surface for people's professions. I don't go around assuming everyone's a writer, except here. So this one's called Spillway. The paintings I have known are not remainders, not evidence of catharsis or any feeling. So many angiograms later, I speak of contrast with clarity, and my new neurosurgeons ask if I'm a doctor, our imagination's mirrors. When I vomit Texas oysters I was advised against on a cedar elm, when I translate the results of a spinal fluid test that free my mother, neither is extra or extraordinary. No leftovers of life, each memory work, all hope controlling. I doctor pages with overlapping chords, assuming rivers can flow in more than one direction, whereas death is my only problem. Our imaginations, mirrors. And in that same time, I had to, everything's fine now, but I had to write a will. And it was so funny because I don't have anything. So I was like, oh no, my 2012 Toyota Camry and my 2021 MacBook Pro, I gotta write in. But when I was dealing with that stuff, I was thinking about obituaries and how it must be so frustrating for writers if they could read their own obituaries, because I'm sure there's something that you wouldn't focus on, or there's something you would write in a different way, and it sort of represents you. And so I wrote like this obituary of the self, which of course turned out to be impossible and failed, this kind of broken elegy. Prime. Born loved, died loved, and in between so often got what I wanted. Most of all I would have sacrificed to have. Or did I decide and admit only the desires who returned, passing losses over to claim to want only what wanted me? I ordered my living around humiliation, mine and anyone else's, though I peed the valley, walked a splintering dock like a runway, and roller skated the night in its double median inelegantly, happily, without grazing, crossing deer. All in between, my begging and bargaining, since once I had the love of this one person, the gazing approval from the only institution that mattered to the moment, I promised to have no more to ask. I was proud usually not to need, to be openly plain-looking and remain so, unmedicated except one young year. I cannot know if or how these were replies to learning. I could never be beautiful anyway, or being forcibly sedated and supervised during hospital showers, I do, thanks to the open-mouth pill checks, not recall. How to measure the agency of my longing when I trained myself so early and so well, so each of my own urges were one of a good girl, that of a girl, of a good. We got sent these spoons in the mail. There were these two like miniature spoons. It was this weird gift, and they came in a little box that said, "This is a set, do not separate," like the two little spoons. So this was my first attempt at kind of love poem, and I think that I'm gonna read it in two ways as well. It's called Finite Set. I used to be a physics teacher. I was a high school physics teacher, so I'm thinking of kind of set logics. They're in these kind of matrices, each line, so I'm gonna read them down and across again. Finite Set. It is sounder in pairs to travel great altitudes, to dance on flooded carpet or nap in basement office. To find the other's glasses with color unredacting, to delight in keys churn and distill new oceans. To make gaze revise or grace of weeping and shift each scale toward bright ends. To run through dreams' woods, to reunite in one mind, to invent letters on palms and leave borrowed rooms clean. To love without credit against the received forms, to cook a song, to move a queen mattress, to crave the sweat of one, with time twirling open, to hear a mouse crawl, the wholeness unorganizable, to sing blood harmony and recall jukebox codes of the bar where we became, the night of a storm. Finite Set. It is sounder in pairs to dance on flooded carpet, to find the other's glasses, to delight in keys churn, to make gaze revise and shift each scale, to run through dreams' woods, to invent letters on palms, to love without credit, to cook as song, to crave the sweat of one, to hear a mouse crawl, to sing blood harmony, the bar where we became, to travel great altitudes or nap in basement office, with color unredacting and distill new oceans, or grace of weeping toward bright ends, to reunite in one mind and leave borrowed rooms clean against the received forms, to move a queen mattress with time twirling open, the wholeness unorganizable, and recall jukebox codes of the night of a storm. My last one, we went to this protest for a very horrible corporation, and we were in the front and blocking the entrance. And then someone came out and said, "Hey, could you guys move so that you're not blocking the entrance?" And everyone started moving. And and I think it was just, you just are used to hearing things and then doing them. So I think this is about kind of balancing the need to be liked and to obey with the world we imagine circuit. At the die-in, some cover their faces. At the die-in, I say repeating they and we protest clarity. At the die-in, there's a loud interval. At the die-in, an American explains his great risk. At the die-in, we circulate drinking water. At the die-in, concrete begins to cool to cheek. At the die-in, we use the power we have. At the die-in, eyelids brighten against void. At the die-in, there comes a silent spell. At the Dayan, I concede they and we communicate what we feel. At the Dayan, we betray the power we have. Thank you so much. And we have a new genre. We have Heja Isen next.
Thank you. I'm going to be reading an excerpt from my memoir in progress, Tough Love. It is a book about mentorship, specifically about my chronic pattern of falling into intense, complicated relationships with authority figures, which is something I'm sure a room full of writers has absolutely no experience with whatsoever. The narrator is 16 years old, stakes her entire selfhood on being told she's a pleasure to have in class. Another experience I'm sure is totally foreign to you. Can you hear me okay? Thank you. The period before English was a course called SAP, which stood for Sociology, Anthropology, and Psychology. This was also how I saw the subjects in order of legitimacy. Soc was bogus, Anthro dry and dusty, Psych was the sole pillar worth taking seriously. I was only in the class at all because I needed something that ran during third period. My teacher, Miss Tanaka, treated me with a softness out of all proportion to the quality of my work. I spat out verbatim definitions, wrote research reports that were dull and overlong, and took on accidentally revealing questions like, is personality a function of birth order? I was a fine student, but she didn't treat me like a great one for my work. It was because I was the only other person in the room who wasn't white. Her affection irritated me. I only wanted special treatment if I'd earned it. Even then, I didn't want teachers to love me for my body. I wanted them to love me for my brain. In that course, I was first assigned the work of Sigmund Freud, the only lesson to make me sit up and pay attention. In her introductory lecture, Ms. Tanaka talked about him as if he were a historical curiosity, a minor blip who'd mostly been debunked. But to learn about his theories was like the man himself had stuck out his foot and tripped me. Lying prone, I finally understood that the view from down here was how the world had been meant to look all along. There was nothing Freud could say that did not make sense to me. He was right about all of it. He was right about the murky, bubbling force that flowed beneath the order of daily life, which at any moment might erupt in a slip of the tongue and give the game away. The necessity of a deep attachment to the analyst, whose job it was to help you make sense of your mind. That it is normal, unavoidable, to desire them. That this desire might even be the key to knowing who you are. Freud understood something essential about the world, that everything was made of desire even when it seemed like nothing was. Other students snickered when Ms. Tanaka said so. To me, this was how it felt to be alive. Everything was desire. The world was sparkling and charged with it. Desire was the way Robert Plant moans, "Oh," 5 minutes into Led Zeppelin's The Rain Song. It was reading the words, "Light of my life, fire of my loins," aloud in my room, rolling them around in my mouth. Desire was the heat that zipped through me any time I wrote a sentence I was proud of. It was the big band bluster of Joe Cocker's "You Can Leave Your Hat On," a song where a man gives a bunch of orders before one delicious restriction. Desire was the opening stanza of Rufus Wainwright's The Art Teacher. There I was in uniform, looking at the art teacher. I was just a girl then. Never have I loved since then. Of course she hadn't. What did she expect? Desire was everything, in fact, except the thing it was supposed to be. I couldn't imagine trying to find that intimacy with another person. Attraction didn't work like that in high school. My desirability was set by factors outside of my control. That I got good marks and missed class for acting jobs made me intimidating. That whiteness was the benchmark for beauty made me invisible. At parties, some girls were marked as prime targets for hooking up. I was fun to talk to. If Taja was there, people said, then the guys that no one wanted to make out with would at least have something to do. I couldn't see a way out of this, and I wasn't sure I wanted to. Changing the social order seemed as likely as reversing gravity. My only currency, as I saw it, was being smart, and that was not good currency. It fired up a certain type of person, but only to compete with me for grades. If I was ever the one who had the feelings, I wasn't supposed to act on them. Only boys could announce their attraction. They thrust it into your arms, a big, shaggy thing you were charged with nursing until it suddenly died. Is this desire? I wondered often, and felt nothing. Still, when a boy followed me halfway home after class one day, my first thought, after, oh no, was, finally. Then he started lending me CDs. Not albums he thought I'd like, but ones he did. I didn't like them. They were dark and aggro, full of unearned key changes, and songs called things like Jizz Lobber. But I still listened anxiously in case there was a test later. Boys loved to do this, assign things to consume like you had to take a class before they date you. I always fell for it. Even if I hated their taste, I could find something clever to say. Impressing them felt good in a way the flirtation itself often didn't. If I lost myself in the anesthetic bliss of doing what I was told, I could ignore the bigger problem. I didn't want to fuck them. This boy and I were in drama class together. He had a raw, skulking stage presence and a braying voice that sailed to the last row of the auditorium. His idea of a date was spooning on the carpet of his parents' basement for the entire 43-minute runtime of Dark Side of the Moon, sweating through his Pink Floyd t-shirt onto my back. I stared accusingly at the turntable as he pressed his crotch into me. At one point, I became convinced the lyrics were describing the exact situation I was trapped in. Forward, he cried from the rear, and the front rank died. I longed to go back to the time when he was shy and unentitled, holding CDs out in his trembling hand. Now it was like someone had given him a badge and said that it would open every door. It was obvious when we kissed that he was committed to a system of escalation, each one wetter or wider or in some way more than the one before it. I didn't know how to slow it down, other than the time I dodged his mouth as it descended and yelled, "Whoa!" like he was a horse. We ghosted one another after a while, which was difficult since we were in most of the same classes. I was horrified, with myself even more than with him. It had been my first shot at what looked like real desire. Why had it felt so inert, so dead? Why did I feel more charged, more alive, more turned on in every sense when I raised my hand in class? Had I read Anne Carson then, I would have crowed in triumph. Love and learning, she points out, have a similar structure. We reach out from what we have towards something we lack. Like learning, love schools us in our limits. There's no harsher lesson in your own inadequacy than falling for a person you can't have, like failing a test that you spent your life preparing for. Eros is, she says, an education. It can teach you the real nature of what is inside you. Anytime I met someone who might have that answer, it was the most intense swell of energy I knew. I was pleased to learn Freud even had a name for this. Transference. The feelings someone may have for an all-knowing mentor figure weren't really for them at all. That hunger was an echo, a repetition of the past. This, too, felt correct. The idea of a spontaneous desire for some guy in a band shirt seemed so much less likely and less interesting than being sucked over and over into my own personal vortex. The steady, inexorable pull of someone who could touch in me what was both familiar and essential, who knew exactly who I was supposed to be. Where I thought Freud was wrong was his idea that transference is an obstacle. Desire did not make me a bad patient. It made me, I believed, a perfect student. Late at night, when I wet my fingers and reached down, I never thought of anyone my age. I barely thought of anyone I knew. Instead, I pictured faceless figures who knew everything I didn't, who told me to relax and when to breathe, and that I was so good. In lieu of faces, I focused on images. The rasp of sharpened lead on clean white paper, leather pulled taut between palms, rubber gloves snapped against wrists. Right before I let go, their faces would appear, as random and damning as a symbol on a slot machine. The shock of it sent me over the edge, flashed at me something about myself I wasn't ready to know. I exhaled into the dark. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce Sebastian Paramo.
Hello. All right, so thank y'all for having me here. I'm going to read a few poems from my book and then some new work. And these are intimate sort of family portrait poems. So, let's see. Hibiscus. If we roughhouse as brothers, we bleed and eat dirt. Younger days, we took fistfuls of teeth and held on tight. Wet mouth nuzzling my neck, animal sibling, mud and breath of dog days. We knew each other. We traded cards and punches, collected frogs at dusk in Duck Creek Park. We step into it again. More wolf than cub now, ash and lime on Tecate cans, al pastor on tortilla flats burning, charred, the touch of white frosting on birthdays, purpled creeks at night after everyone ate, swollen belly. I can't move. I'm full and afraid of a time we won't jab and be cruel with love. I was once a wolf bearing his teeth. I licked the salt off my lips and trembled to know the ache of soft ruby petals in my mouth. Hibiscus boiled. We must drink now like brothers. Let us make a pact. Let us reign over the woods again. Let us eat the flesh of game. We must devour spirits so dark they glow like worms and burn and steep in a kettle until every winter becomes dire with its whistle. This is called Studying Abroad in Mexico, Looking Up at Man of Fire by Jose Clemente Orozco. Through a ceiling, the sun's flames shine through the man of fire. I saw him once in La Plaza de Tapatia. I wandered the streets of Guadalajara in July, an inferno. My feet burned and my head burned, and I was wiping sweat when I saw him. He was a human torch. His gray hands reach for mine like he's not sorry. Is this my father's love? His hands reddening me, whooping his fears out, burning flesh with anger, hot tears asking why me? Why smolder when the forests are going to ash? This isn't about the world aflame. My own house has never been set ablaze, though I've seen smoke. My mother chars peppers with enough heat, it licks my tears, makes my lungs scream. Orozco's flames were bigger than that. Chiloso or invincible, my father never called me those things. He could never stand the kitchen because I was jacketless in winter, trying to prove I didn't need anyone. My father called me Iceman. The way I stood in Guadalajara, its cantinas, lighting cigars foolishly, so I could tell him, don't extinguish this tall, licking flame. I want to die slowly, like murals peeling from the ceiling. And this is called Footage of Me Tomorrow, and it's a kind of reverse erasure in 3 parts, and you'll kind of hear it in each part. So footage of me tomorrow. 1, I consult the deck. My friend stars palms. I'm half empty. I see my father. I see a flamed forest. Watch that quiet laughter echo my stop being a bird. Desire. Listen, I didn't learn anyone else's life. The moon card. 2 people fall. How many means whatever I want. I mean, I muddy your father. 2, I shuffle the stars and I pour half my father in a jar. There's quiet abundance. I have a long heart. My love ain't easy. It's messy. You'd have to be a fool to listen. I learn forgiveness inside my father's life. When I play a game, I'm drawing a tower, falling or about to fall. With sudden fires, I'm Snake Eyes. It means anyone can die tomorrow. Yesterday, inside a cup, you turn dark. Say, I'm my father. 3, I consult the tarot. I ask my friend to shuffle the deck. I consult my friend who reads stars and palms. I contain possibilities. I'm the glass poured half full or half empty. I need perspective. My friend tells me, what do you see? I see my father carrying 10 swords. I see Venus entering Pisces, forgiveness in a jar, flamed memory. There's a joker in the forest. Watch out for that wild card. Quiet laughter, abundance. I have a long heart line. I've been echoing my father from birth. I wondered how much we love freedom. It ain't easy to stop being a bird. I'm one boy learning to fly. It's messy. To want the sky, you'd have to be a fool. To desire anything, I have to dare myself. To squander time, I won't wait on myself. What I mean is, I haven't listened for a long time. I didn't learn forgiveness. I'm inside my father's sitcom, streaming anyone else's life. When the moon is full, I play a game. I'm drawing a card. There's a tower card. I'm drinking liquor. I see lightning strike, 2 people falling or about to fall. When faced with sudden heights, I want to know how many fires await me. I'm rolling the dice again. Snake Eyes. It means whatever I want it to mean. It means anyone can cast the same die twice. It means tomorrow is what I drank yesterday. Muddy your coffee grounds. Inside a cup, you turn upside down. Chunks fall like the dark slipping away. They say, I'm not my father. I'll read 2 more poems. This is a new poem from a new project, and it's one I shared earlier this week with my workshop. This is called Sestina Ojalá. Once upon a time, alacrán, almohada, azúcar, scorpion, pillow, sugar. Your neighbor said, Ojalá que jales buen trabajo. Get good at believing the sting of scorpions. Find the softest pillow. Sweeten the dream. Cuando jales sin comer para comer. When I work without eating so I can eat, it's because I'm hungry. Because the stars I wished upon made me want hunger. Hunger is the art of knowing when to stop. Sweetness or poison, or soft goose down beneath my head. Ojalá I won't work too hard. Hopefully I'll have enough sting to climb a mountain. The universe is strange. My dreams said mountains are closer to God's paradise, his mighty works. Ojalá el cielo nos bendita. Oh, hopefully I'll work for God. When my mother blesses me with hunger one summer, I'll pick fields of sugar cane, azúcar, boiling water. I'm eating the flesh. Then ojalá it was a dream. I can hike Pico de Orizaba, sting of love, a fiery side quest to a volcano. If it wasn't a dream, at least I could test my faith and endings. My dreamy ambition could make a name for himself. Outside of work, he'd pitch a tent on a glacier, climb the serpent's head, hungry for canned scorpions. At nightfall, the veil of sleet falls like sugar. The Iceman will come out of the dreamscape like a spirit. Ojalá he wakes and there is a frozen staircase. I want the ice to sting. At the peak, when I test my faith, other believers will come sting their hands. They came because they wanted to test if their dream was a man made of ice. wearing a robe. Let his works drip into their hands at the edge of spring. I won't do it hungry. I watched my mother speak in tongues. She used to be sweet. That's what my father said. My mother sang Ojalá, Ojalá after an uncertainty comes. Lucky me, Ojalá my father can slap his hand on my forehead. It stings. I thought the universe was speaking, if only dreams could hold my palms face up without belief. Work, my father, believed in blood more than God. Hungry, my palms put together words, alacrán, almohada, azúcar. Emily Dickinson wrote, work has feathers. I was a believer, but I was always hungry for something sweet. If I dreamed harder, a rope ladder from the stars could string me up. Ojalá. One more poem. Mars, thank you. Mars and Aries. I'm the Tejano riding your horse without a saddle. I'm hanging onto horsehair. I'm the flame on your lasso. My horse kicks me up at the moon and I let go. I fall back to earth, all scorched. Cut me up like a jackrabbit. Let me land on piles of questions. Why was I born raging with the god of beginnings? It hurts. My fear makes me do bad things. I set fire to bridges because suddenly I can leap between cliffs with my hind legs. Call me the leaping Tejano. I swing from tires, swing to time and time again until I'm at a beach in Corpus Christi. Find me there spreading the towel, taking off my shirt, slapping SP40 all over. I'm lying on my stomach, my back against the sun. Here's a picture of me soaking life into my browning skin. Picture the dusk, the red sky darkens and then stars everywhere. Come orbit me on the hood of this 97 Camaro. It's red like that star up there. See? Find me at the bar, hitting the jukebox, singing, hit me with your best shot. I'm singing in your car and singing fast, asleep like a submarine. I'm on fire, or you're the flame burning through my head. I'm the Tejano riding a pony named War. We'll start galloping away toward the ocean. You'll find us disappearing into your sun, your moon, and your rising. Or you can drive me back to the playground, get a matchbook, make me your lucky strike. Thank you. And please welcome Jenny Tingwei Zhang.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny. Hi. And I am going to be reading an excerpt. It's the first chapter of my second novel, which is coming out in February. Thank you. And it's called Superfan, and I think it's quite self-explanatory, so I'll just get into it. Also, I printed all 4 pages on this one sheet of paper, so good luck to me. The boys are there, waiting for her. They have always been waiting for her. She is browsing the front page of a video sharing site when she sees them, draped in white, frozen yet exploding. Asian boy band stuns at local music festival, the title of the video says. Normally, she would ignore a declaration like this, preferring to decide for herself the things that stun her, but their faces, which are undeniably lovely, give her pause. 2 million views, uploaded 10 days ago. She cannot fathom the numbers, and she cannot fathom the boys. Between Josh tries to eat everything at Whataburger and this, she chooses this. The music begins. The 4 of them leap forward, stage lights rolling off their bodies as if unable to latch on. The video was recorded on a cell phone, but the picture peppered with grain, but the boys remain clean. Their hair is the color of acorn, honey, liquid silver, and midnight. Their bodies are sheathed in white fabric. She can feel them through the laptop screen, count all the pixels that come together to form their sublime faces. She imagines, too, the pulsing tangle of pixels beneath their clothes, the ones that make up their blood, their muscles, their precious bones. The boys are tall and lanky, the kind of model bodies that are 90% legs and the rest pure charisma. Glossy boys, unstoppable boys. It starts like this then, with a video of boys. The boys are singing and dancing, gliding and spinning, and glowing, really glowing, and she is glowing with them, because between her and them, there is no longer a laptop screen. There is no audience, no band, no crew in the wings, not the concept of distance, not even air. There is only them and all the things she wants, which is to be with them, to love them, and for them to love her. The performance ends. The crowd screams their approval, the sound a white-hot current that shoots back and forth between her ears. The boys bow for the final time, each face softened with a smile. They press their palms to their lips and wave. The screen fades to black, and she is left staring at her own stunned face. She replays the video 4 times more, watching one boy at a time. She tracks his dance, his song, the shimmer of his face as he struts up and down the stage. She follows these faultless boys, these irresistible boys, these boys with voices pitched to an octave of angels, and she feels herself falling and rising at the same time. I have no idea who these boys are, one comment below the video says, but I'm in love with them. Halo's power, reads another. Murder me, king. I'm drowning in so much bliss. Why are their bodies built like that? Are they telling me to die? And on for 1,000 more. A new hunger blooms, the desire to know every single thing about these boys until she brims with them. She opens a tab and types the band's name into the search bar. A column of results greets her: fan-made websites, web encyclopedia entries, message boards, blog rings, video compilations, all created in the past few days by fans like her. Can she call herself a fan already? It feels that way. She skims through the results and then, knowing that she may very well never come back from whatever lies ahead, clicks the first one. She consumes until the light drains from her dorm room and the only source left is the glare of the laptop illuminating her slack face, until a whine in her stomach reminds her that she has not eaten in hours. The dining hall is surely closed, but it no longer matters because the boys are here now and she can eat her fill with them. Every interview she reads brings them closer. Every video she watches makes them more hers. When she goes to sleep that night, she is surrounded by the boys, their faces warm and handsome, their hands all holding her, rubbing her, passing off some of their magic onto her so that she, too, might shine the way they do. In class the next day, she cannot concentrate. The professor asks her to read a poem out loud, Borges, and she does so, but the words fatten and blur into spongy macaroni. You are invulnerable, she recites. Didn't they deliver those forces that control your destiny, the certainty of dust? Beyond the words, she imagines a screen on which play images of the boys, their necks taut and pearled with sweat. Lovely, the professor intones. She is inclined to agree. The sound of the Carillon bells releases her back to them. She shoots through campus to her dorm and climbs into bed with her laptop on her thighs, searching for more information. What she knows so far: there is Minu, the responsible leader, Denim, the affable all-American, Jelly, the ethereal dancer, and Halo, the aloof and mysterious bad boy. The 4 of them, together, make Hourglass. Those are my boys, she thinks as she listens to them sing to her. She has never done drugs before. She has not had the chance, but she has known what it is to love a detective book series, a gorgeous actor, the soft spot behind her first dog's ears. Those had been her obsessions briefly, but they wither next to the imperative of the boys. She imagines this must be what they mean when they call it taking a hit. But there is nothing dangerous about it, nothing nefarious. The boys stand on every side of her, radiating love, and she feels it course through her own body, plumping her up, making her skin smooth, her lashes long, her lips pink, until she is the most beautiful version of herself, one everyone can love, one even she herself can love. We are yours and you are, the boys ask in one video. Ours, the crowd shouts back. A call and response that is almost holy. It is not clear to her who belongs to whom, but this is the way it is supposed to be. They belong to each other. When the day is over, she knows what Minu's favorite fruit is, pineapple, where Denim went to high school, a private performing arts academy in California, the qualities Jelly looks for in his soulmate, someone who can cook, and what scares Halo the most, ghosts. The boys feel like a place where she can live a while, perhaps forever. They could be her friends, her brothers, her lovers. In fact, she thinks they are all of those things combined. In the hallway, a door opens and she hears the laughter of two girls who occupy the room next to hers. One of them has just returned from a study date and recounts the titillating details to the other. Their conversation forces her to re-enter the atmosphere. She remembers just how far away she is from the boys. They in Los Angeles, she in Austin. They up so high in the sky, she tangled in her comforter. It is a heavy realization, an unwelcome disruption of the happiness she has cultivated for the past 48 hours. She rises to lock her door, even though no one ever comes to her room, and returns to bed, where she watches videos of the boys until she falls asleep. Thank you.